October the 13th, 2020. First item on our agenda is a COVID-19 update from town administration and the health department.
Sure. Thanks, Bill. I'll kind of kick things off a little bit. Not too much of an update for the board this week. It's been a little while since my last update. Kind of a few things that we're working towards. So we have our town meeting, which is scheduled for this Saturday, October 17th at 10 a.m. in the high school football field. This is pretty much going to be, as far as the way it's going to be set up, it'll be a replica of how we did it back in June. Rika and Trish there with us on Friday for a pre-town meeting to go over some of the protocols. As of right now, we're taking a look at the weather, making sure that we're even able to hold it on Saturday. As of right now, I saw the weather channel had 100% chance of precipitation for Saturday. That sounds pretty certain to me. So we're going to keep an eye on that and work with the moderator and hopefully have a, if we need to, he's prepared to sign an order pushing that till Sunday at the exact same time. But again, it'll be pretty much the same plan as back in the spring. Members will be sitting on the high school football field 5 yards apart in either direction with two 10-yard aisles between them. We'll have people wiping down the microphones after each speaker. Members will be given masks and be required to wear masks and hand sanitizer. This year we're looking at giving out, giving out bug spray with Triple E. And anything out that I'm missing, Melissa, as far as town meeting goes, or Rika, Trish?
No, I think that's great. Just kind of mirroring what was done in the spring. I think it worked really well.
So the only other thing that we're looking at is the presidential election also. So that's going to be on Tuesday, November 3rd. Polls open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Early voting actually starts this upcoming Saturday, October 17th through Friday, October 30th. And in addition to the early voting and voting in person, voters have the opportunity to submit mail-in ballots, which, if they requested them, should have gone out to voters last week. And then actually, one other thing I wanted to just mention, for the most part, most of the departments have been in operation since the beginning of July, including the Council on Aging. The Council on Aging has been doing programs remotely and out behind the Council on Aging building. Just today, they started in-person programming inside the building. So in their it's called the Murphy Room. That's their multi-purpose room. So they've got a few programs taking place throughout the week, including Tai Chi, Sit and Be Fit, meditation, and knitting group. So they have a maximum of 10 people in that Murphy Room. Which, if you know that room at all, it's really big, and it's kind of sad to see how few people can actually sit in the room. But of course, dealing with an elderly population, we want to take every precaution. And I know that Carrie, the Council on Aging, has been working closely with Melissa, Rika, and Trish to make sure that the programs that they are providing continue to keep the residents safe whenever possible. So I think that's it for me. Melissa, is there anything I'm thinking that I'm missing that you can think of?
I think your update was really good, Patrick. The only thing I would just add in, which I know I included in my email to the board, is just Halloween guidelines. As we're approaching halfway through October, you're going to see celebrations or festivities regarding Halloween. So just to be mindful that the town of Walpole is adhering to DPH as well as CDC guidelines. As I posted on our Facebook page as well as our town website, we really want to limit contact and obviously encourage our residents to participate in low risk activities versus moderate and high risk activities. So just tailoring what you have planned to limit the amount of contact with individuals. If you're going about trick-or-treating, staying with your household contacts. If you're giving out candy, make sure that you're feeling well, as same as if you're going to participate in trick-or-treating, that you're feeling well. If you can pre-package items and potentially leave them on the doorstep rather than having that interaction, that's also a recommendation.
Hello.
Richard, how are you?
I'm sorry, I had trouble getting in.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
I'm going to have to play from the phone.
All right. So ready to move on to approval of the minutes from the September 22nd meeting. Are there any changes, corrections, additions, or deletions?
I didn't find any.
I tried, couldn't find anything.
Well, I mean, they're not particularly extensive anymore, so. But yeah, I mean, I went through it and I didn't see anything that I would correct, so we'll entertain a motion on the minutes.
Okay.
Make a motion regarding the minutes for our meeting on September 22nd. The Board of Health has no corrections.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Mike accepts them as written.
I'll second it.
Motion is made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I think that would be what, 4-0-0 because Dr. Bringhurst was not with us last time? Does that sound right? Okay. We have a 7:40 appointment for septic variance on Clarkson Drive. They want to do a sieve analysis.
Sorry, Bill, I just want
engineering?
to thank Patrick for being on the call, and
Oh.
I'm sure you have many things to do for town meeting, so unless you want to stay on.
Thank you, Pat.
As always, Patrick, thank you for your time and your update. Much
Thank you,
appreciated.
everybody. Have a great meeting. All right,
You
bye.
too. All right, so we have the septic variance, just doing a sieve analysis. Any issues there, Melissa?
So no issues at all. High groundwater, so we were unable to perk. So no issues with this septic variance. It's one that we see very frequently.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Bob Bay from BIG Septic is actually on the call as well. He's the one that is requesting the variance, in case you have additional questions.
I'm here.
Oh, hi, Bob. How are you? Welcome.
I'm well. How are you?
Thank you for taking time out of your Tuesday evening to join us. As Melissa said, this is a fairly common request in Walpole to be able to design the system using the sieve analysis rather than usual procedures because of the various soils and so forth that we encounter. So we'll entertain a motion then on the variance if anyone would like to make it.
Okay, I'll make a
Yeah, I'll
motion.
make it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion in regards to the septic variance, 31 Clarkson Drive. The Board of Health is granting the variance under Title 5310 CMR 15104 percolation testing to allow the use of a sieve analysis.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. B500. Bob, good luck with the system on that.
Great. Thank you so much. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye now. All right, we have we're a little bit of ahead of schedule, but do we expect anybody for the zoning article on outdoor dining rather?
No, we do not.
So basically, if I'm understanding this correctly, the change would make restaurants be able to have outdoor dining just as a normal course of their having a
Yes, so
business
right
permit?
now, they need a special permit and they have to go to the zoning and planning board. So this would allow food establishments that are in the certain zone districts, so obviously non-residential areas, that they would still have to go through the permitting process. Like they would still have to get approval from building, fire, go through health, but they wouldn't need to apply for that special permit.
Special
So it
permit.
just changes that special permit status.
Okay, so they can't just throw some tables out on the sidewalk and get going. They still have to go through some review. They just don't have to do that special permit.
The special permit, correct.
Okay.
They
I
didn't
can't
need,
imagine there's any issue.
did they need to do that for the phase 1 and phase 2? No?
So
that
with COVID, there was like special exceptions to this that kind of fast tracked it, and I think that was kind of, I would assume, I haven't talked to zoning who is putting forth this article or supporting it, but I'm assuming that is kind of what drove it, is that we were in a position where a lot of establishments wanted outdoor seating, and it's very difficult at the moment. So this allows them to not have to go through that special permitting process, but just go through the proper departments to get the approval needed, rather than having to go in front of the zoning and the planning board.
So my understanding that all permits cost money, so this would be a cost-saving motion for the part of the restaurants. Is that correct?
That is correct. I mean, there is a chance there would still be some fees involved. If they would have to, I don't know what building department fees are, if they have to submit certain plan reviews. I think that sometimes if they have liquor and they want to expand to outdoors, they have to get approval from the ABCC. So there's still some fees, but you wouldn't have the fees if you have to file with the zoning and the planning board.
Thank you.
Obviously, they're not going to be able to use this like during the cold weather season, right? I mean, this is just for like summer, maybe late spring, early fall. But they're going to need a permit for a year.
Some are like looking to do like the heat lamps. I think people are trying to prolong the end of the season as long as possible. I mean, we're in New England, so it's hard to determine, you know, we might have a snow in November, we might not have a snow until, you know, January. So I think it's just to try to prolong it and give them the resources to serve the public at a higher capacity.
But obviously, it would still go, like with heat lamps, they still go in front of fire, right? Because because there's still the safety precautions. So those are still going to be brought up and looked at and need to be approved.
Okay. Any other concerns?
No.
Okay.
All right, then we'll entertain a motion on that.
I'll make a motion. With regard to the inquiry from, who is it? Planning board?
Yes.
Yep.
The Board of Health has no concerns and does not see the need for any intervention.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, 5-0-0. All right, we have a 7:50 appointment. Conservation Commission is looking for requests for comments. Looks like 2 pools and patios. 28 Gristmill Lane is mostly in the buffer zone, and 12 Bubbling Brook Road is just outside the 25-foot no disturb zone.
Right. And we'll start with Gristmill. It was just
Sure.
really that they don't have septic. That's why I was going to go to 12 Bubbling to mention that they have septic. But with Gristmill, they are on town sewer and water. So the concern is just that it is within that 100-foot buffer zone.
Oh, okay, so we don't have to. Well, I mean, I think we still need to be concerned about them discharging
Yes. And the
dechlorinated
proper
water.
storage
And
of
so forth.
chemicals.
Yep. Okay, but now, so the Bubbling Brook is going to have to stake out where the septic systems are?
Correct. So if you look on the plan that was submitted for that
Yep.
in the packet, you can see in their front of the property is the septic system. So and then the pool is going to go in the back, but it should still be flagged out just so that nobody's driving over it for the
Right.
concern, but they're getting the proper setbacks.
Okay. I mean, if they're going to be that close to the wetlands, they're going to have all kinds of mosquito issues, I should think. So I'd assume we would give our usual, we're not in favor of it, but we'll go along with it with the standard wording for
Yep.
pool chemicals, dechlorinated water, mosquito control, best practices, etc.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Who would like to
can I
make a
ask why
motion?
we're getting
Oh,
why are we getting so many copies of the plan?
So that was just how it was scanned in. So I had made a couple of copies because we send some out in the packets and then some for the email. So they were just scanned in with those duplicate copies. That's the reason.
Okay.
All right, who would like to make a motion? I guess we'll do them separately because there is a slight difference between the two. So who'd like to make a motion on Gris Mill Lane?
I can make a motion regarding 28 Gris Mill Lane. Board of Health supports the, actually has no objection to the notice of intent for the pool, take into account our standard pool chemical storage or pool chemical storage requirement, the dechlorination before release of water, as well as the mosquito and other we call them mosquito issues along with the close to the wetlands.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
5-0-0. Hey, Rich, you want to do the second one too?
Sure, let's see if I can do a better job on this one. So, Board of Health, regarding 12 Bubbling Brook, Board of Health has no concern, does not have any objections to the proposed plans, take into account the chemical dechlorination and the mosquito issues, our normal verbiage.
And then staking out the.
Perfect. Yeah, sorry. And then knowing that it is on a septic system, we want to make sure that it is fully staked out the location of the system.
All right. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 5-0-0. Other business, flu clinic. I saw your note, Melissa. It sounds like it went fairly well. That was pretty significant number of doses given out.
Yeah, it was a really good day. Carol helped volunteer, and Richard Rearguard and his family was there getting vaccinated. It was a really good setup. Obviously, it was a new setup for us, so we learned along the way. That first group, we had 3 different time slots people could participate. The first time slot, we definitely had a bottleneck initially entering the parking lot, so we kind of revamped with the help of the Walpole Police Department to make 2 lines. And we also increased our volunteers that were helping with the screening process. So as you know, a typical screening at the flu clinic is based off of the flu vaccine. The screening that we had to conduct at our flu clinic this year was a COVID-19 screening in addition to the regular, 5 or so flu clinic questions. So it was definitely a longer process, more long-winded, questions were being asked, temperatures were being checked. So definitely a longer time period for that pre-registration and pre-screening. But I think I referenced in the email a representative from the state was present at the event. And he did mention that he was at 6 other clinics in that week alone. And he mentioned that a lot of the clinics, the problems that they saw were at that pre-registration and pre-screening because of the length of the questions and different things that went along with it. It kind of slowed it down. But I think other than that, it was a great day. Weather-wise, it was a great turnout. We worked with the CERT team. They were able to provide us with radios. We were able to walkie-talkie back and forth to one another. We had color-coded tents, like I sent in the pictures, so there was no confusion as to what tent individuals were to be going to. So I think all in all, it was a really, really nice day, and I think it's something that we'll take our, items that we can improve on and work better for next year. But I think just having that template in place, I think it's something that I could see us doing even hopefully once COVID's over, because it seemed like it was a pretty streamlined process.
That number of doses was... Oh.
That was my next question. The number of doses, Melissa?
Oh, yes, sorry. So I was going to actually have Trish chime in. She has the breakdown of all of the vaccines.
But it seemed like that was pretty comparable to when we've done it at the high school.
I around there, give or take, between our 2 clinics, I would say it was close to that. This obviously freed up a little bit more because we weren't doing raw greens and Rite Aid. We were allowing our school nurses as well as our MRC volunteers to vaccinate. As you know, normally we have a bottleneck at the high school where Rite Aid and Walgreens are giving the vaccines because they only have the 2 pharmacists, and it seems like a good majority of those are 19 and older, so they need to utilize that line.
Right.
This definitely helped out. Trish did an awesome job with matching those nurses that felt comfortable giving pediatric vaccines versus those that were dealing with adults. So that way families would stay together. They had the option to stay inside their vehicle if they wanted to get vaccinated that way. And then they also had the option to go underneath the tent where chairs were there if they, had a child that needed to sit on the parent's lap, or if say they were compromised in a way where they needed the additional help to, get out of.
Excellent. So Trish,
Can I
an
ask a
update?
question?
Sure.
Are we doing anything to prepare for COVID vaccinations down the line?
So we are working closely with the police. We have gotten some information from the state regarding COVID-19 vaccines. As you're probably aware of the storage, it requires a very, very low temperature. So something like that potentially would be stored at a facility versus in-house at a health department. So we'll definitely work with our community partners once that becomes available, and potentially go from there. But as of now, there's been nothing told to us about getting a vaccine. I know what will happen, it will come in drips and drabs, and priority will go towards healthcare workers and those areas that are obviously highly densely populated with COVID numbers. And then from there, we'll see more of a mass production of it. They're saying potentially not until next year, though, that we would actually see that large quantity.
So how did we the I know 18 years old and younger, they get vaccinated for no fees, like the state would pay for that. How about the people older than 18? Because I remember Walgreens and
insurance, if you have insurance covers it. And then those that say are 19 and older that don't have vaccine, we're allowed to use state supply on those individuals.
Okay. But how did we process insurance information for those who had insurance?
This is a perfect segue into Trish.
So we are using a third-party billing company out of UMass Amherst. It's actually called Commonwealth Medicine. So they have a state contract with DPH. So this is the same company that will hopefully be rolling out next year. All the online scheduling, billing will all be online, paperless. There'll be every time we run clinics and administer vaccines, that information will get put into MIIS. So it'll hopefully streamline a lot of it. So we're going to be using that company for our reimbursement. So the paperwork that we had everybody fill out at the flu clinic was provided by Commonwealth Medicine. Everybody has copies of their insurance card and whatnot. So right now it's still, because it's not online, it's I'm basically submitting paper copies. So it's needs to be submitted within about 30 days of the clinic. I've already entered everybody manually into MIIS. So we had 7 days to do that, just for some grant funding opportunities. So then the way it works is that for any of our state supplied vaccine, we'll get reimbursed the actual administration fee, like to actually give the vaccine. I forget that number off the top of my head. It's $13 and something. And then what they do is they take care of all the billing to each of the insurances for anything that we purchased. So it'll be reimbursement from the insurance companies as well as the administration fee. So this, as we said, it's our first year doing it. So I'm kind of curious how it'll all pan out. But we have a provider contract now with Mass Health as well as Medicare, which is one of the things they required. And so all of the money reimbursed will actually just get electronically transferred right back into our flu revolving fund, so that hopefully we can keep building it every year.
So I'm thinking, I'm assuming that private insurance companies would pay higher fees for the vaccinations, hopefully.
That's what there is a breakdown. It depends on the insurance, but yeah, they do. They will offer a higher reimbursement.
Did we carry the high dose, Trish, this year?
We did. So
Okay.
we had 100 total high doses. So let's see, at the clinic we administered about 93. So I had some left over. I've had a couple home visits that I've taken care of, a couple people that we heard from after the clinic. And then just for our numbers real quick, for ages 19 to 64, we did 156. And under 18 and under, we did 103. And like I said, I've done a couple home visits, and then I have roughly about 25 more people that I'm going to just do a smaller clinic next week at Town Hall. A couple of them are families, whatnot, that just missed the clinic. So I'm going to set up something small.
Okay, good. Do you
What's
have
the estimate? What's the estimate of how many people altogether we could potentially vaccinate if everybody came in?
So for our total amount, oh my gosh, Melissa, I don't have it right in front of me. I think we had, for what I have left over for vaccine. So for everything we purchased and got through the state, it ended up being about 440, I think, total, that I have the ability to vaccinate. And then hopefully if, especially with kids needing the flu vaccine before the end of the year, I'll be able to get some more of the 18 and under doses from the state.
And obviously, like Trish brought up, this is kind of like our startup year. So we didn't have money in the funds to do this. So we're, purchasing this vaccine with the hopes of getting reimbursed. And then like Trish said, hopefully we'll accumulate the monies that we get from reimbursement to even purchase more. As you know, it was the first year, so it's tough because you want to purchase enough vaccine, but you don't want to purchase too much vaccine because at the end of the day, we would be the ones stuck with it and paying for it. So I think we tried to be pretty reasonable with it, but also, buying enough that we would have enough on hand. That was kind of another reason why we did our clinic fairly early. Then that way, if there is that need, we could potentially purchase more vaccine and potentially do, additional clinics if we needed to. But I just want to give a huge thank you to Trish because as she's explaining it, I'm sure people are understanding how much went into it. But Trish did a lot with the legwork for the billing, reaching out to Mass Health. There was a lot of back and forth. So I think it was a huge undertaking. I mean, it's going to be great moving forward, but it was a lot of work that went into setting this up. And I think that's probably why in years past it went with Walgreens and Rite Aid. So thank you, Trish. That really was.
Oh, no, absolutely.
It worked out well.
Appreciate the hard work and the very positive results of that work. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. We had a lot of friends that brought other kids in, and it was all positive. So I appreciate that.
Good.
One comment about I'm sorry, Bill.
Go ahead.
About the kids. You mentioned a whole group of kids under 18. We had a few that took advantage of it. One thing the school needs is a documentation about receiving the vaccination. How would we go about, or do we need to do anything as far as getting paperwork or something for the school?
So I can definitely, I have a standard form for anybody that came through our clinic that I can either send to you, I can send over to the schools. And then also I believe all the school nurses have access as well to MIIS, so it'll automatically populate. So anybody that came through the clinic, primary care physicians and pediatricians, school nurses, they'll be able to kind of run that report and see that they received the flu vaccine and on what date. But I've also just been doing quick little receipts for it as well, as people needed it for school, jobs, work, anything like that. Just let me know and I'll send that out.
Good to know.
I definitely do not want to add more to your plate. As long as
it's easy.
As long as they can reference it, I don't want to come December, the boys not be able to show up at school because we can't. As long as it's we're good to go.
All right. Is there anything else that we need to be aware of? Oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead, Rachel. Sorry.
If you could maybe put together a list and send it out to us of who got it, just because we can't get everyone in the system. If parents haven't signed off, then it won't sync.
Okay.
And we have to sync it for each individual student. Like there isn't like a mass. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we'd have to go into each student and sync it.
Gotcha,
and
yeah.
it comes
It makes
through.
sense, yeah.
So if you maybe want to send a list instead of sending the forms, because we'll obviously take your word for it. I mean, you could even just send a whole list out to the nurses and they can look at and pull the kids out that go to their school, maybe?
Okay,
Whatever's easier, but that would be super helpful if you could.
okay.
Sounds good. Excellent. Anything else on the flu clinic?
Nothing else on the flu clinic. I just have one more item. I just was hoping if you have a few minutes. So Rika has for a food grant, and I just want her to give the board a quick kind of overview of the grant. Again, a lot of work went into it, so I want her
Sure.
to
Oh,
be
absolutely.
recognized and just kind of give the board just, you know, a kind of a little narrative on what the grant would entail.
So I'll try to keep it short, but the FDA has these retail program standards that they want all food regulatory agencies to try and meet. And in order to meet them, they have lots of funding available to help you work towards these standards. And the idea is the standards are constantly being updated. So once you meet a standard, you really need to continue working towards it, because I think it's every 3 or 5 years you technically need to be like re-verified for that standard. So I know that a couple years ago, or maybe less than that, NC8, before I was here, NC8 already started working on one standard. So Walpole was involved. I know Melissa did that. And so in my previous position, I did some work with the retail program standards. And then when I was doing my master's practicum, this is what I focused on. And there was a new round of funding. So I applied for 3 grants. And one is for a larger grant for us to get hardware and software to do inspections. So that's one. So we'll see if we get that, and then we'll have the year to kind of work on figuring out what software is best, and then getting hardware to go with it, and being trained on it, and getting our inspectors on that. I know I've been in communication with IT on that, so that's hopefully in the works if we get the funding. If we don't get the funding, I'll try again next year. And then another smaller grant is one where we just would like the Board of Health's support if we get it. It's to do more community outreach with our food establishments and the stakeholders. So we are looking to contract with Mogen Solutions, and it's a small consulting business. They do inspections for local health departments. They contract out, but they also act as food consultants, and they will help us with surveying our food establishment, our inspectors, reviewing some of our past inspection reports, and creating quarterly newsletters that focus on food safety. And the content will be created based on kind of the feedback that we receive. And we're also hoping to, at the end of that, every food establishment that we hear from with input will enter into a raffle, and they will be able to win. I'm pretty excited about it. I would think I would hope a food establishment would be too, but two of their employees can take an online person in charge training that kind of introduces them to the program standards and kind of the approach the FDA wants to see the people in charge in food establishments take to address foodborne illnesses. And then Mogen Solutions would come in for an hour and a half and work with that food establishment on addressing their any food safety needs, working with them and providing hands-on training. So that, again, it's a smaller grant, but it would be for the year. And hopefully it increases communication with our department and our food establishments, but also with our inspectors, and kind of see where, like, what information is needed and what might be lacking in information knowledge in our food establishments. So
Excellent.
in 6 weeks we'll find out. Today was the deadline, submitted everything, so we'll find out if we received those in about 6 weeks.
Well, we'll look forward to an update perhaps in our first meeting in December.
Yes.
Thanks, Rika. So the only other item, Bill, which we can definitely probably revisit at our next meeting, which is on the 27th, is I know we do normally a holiday schedule for the month of November.
I was just going to say, when I mentioned Thanksgiving, that I was going to ask that we put that on the agenda for the next meeting. So
I'll put that on.
we'll schedule, or we'll set our November and December meetings accordingly at that time.
Perfect.
Anything else for the board to consider tonight?
No, that's all.
Anything from any of the members?
Nope,
Then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Thank you. It was a great meeting.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor? We're done.
Aye.
Enjoy the rainy day.
So the next meeting, what date is that again?
That's gonna be the 27th.
The 27th, okay.
Yeah.